life was falling apart around me.
I started using it just to feel like I could function.
The pair, now sober, both say they got hooked on a high-potency form of marijuana extract. It's sold as edibles or oils, known as wax or shatter, that contain as much as 90% of the psychoactive THC, the chemical that gets you high. Compare that to the hippie high you may have grown up with. That pot had between about 2 to 5% THC. While millions do benefit from medical marijuana, in some cases, researchers have linked these new, more powerful concentrates to physical dependence, psychosis, and anxiety.
Students who brought to school some candy edibles, and they were giving those to other kids.
The school's executive director says 2 8th graders shared the cannabis-infused candies with other classmates Thursday.
6 students in all, 3 went to the hospital. All 3 of them were doing fine. The students who had brought the edibles, we referred them to law enforcement.
Macomb County Sheriff says a teacher at Dakota High School noticed students passing around caramel corn, then realized the snack smelled like marijuana.
You could tell that it smelled like marijuana or smelled like something other than caramel corn. So the kids were rounded up, brought down to the office.
Further investigation led to a student with a backpack full of these Ziploc bags containing treats labeled s'mores, fruity treat, and loopy treat.
In previous videos, we have discussed on many occasions on my disapproval on how New York State approved recreational cannabis and medicinal cannabis as well. I've always said that if you wanted to legalize cannabis, it has to be for medicinal only, not for recreational. And I've had many people, especially on BitChute, that they said, well, it's done nothing for me, and da da da. I hear the stories that I've been smoking all the time and it's not done for me. But understand this, and I know a lot of those viewers are not young; they are in my age group. The pot that is the cannabis pot, however you want to call it, that are on the streets today is not the same when I was growing up. The THC levels are they're through the roof at certain points. And the other part of it you have to worry about is, are they sprinkling with fentanyl in there? Look at the streets of Philadelphia, how bad it is right now there. I mean, that it's a war zone. New York is beginning to get to that direction. We're lost in San Francisco, and Seattle is almost there as well. And the other half of this is, and we discussed this, is the educational levels. And we've, discussed that how, they're trying to push a sexual agenda in the school levels. When you have a level of children out there that cannot read, they cannot write properly, they don't know their civics, they're graduating with basically not even the minimal education possible to get them through life, get them through high school and into college. There's an article out there for this year, for this June, that 85% of the graduating class of 2023 of this particular high school will not be graduating at this time because they did not meet the requirements needed to graduate. Only 5 people have only received that situation where they're able to graduate and move on. It's a shame. The other half of the problem is with the education, and this is where we get into the cannabis, is we've been hearing from the schools, and I know I've heard a couple of things here and there, that a lot of the students are coming into class late, and they're coming in high. In simple terms, they're using cannabis in multiple ways, whether it's vaping pens, edibles or smoking straight out a joint, and they're coming high to school. And that's an issue. And that's an issue that needs to be discussed. This is coming out from the Insider, New York Times. We need to do research on this. We need to identify this situation. And this is why legalization should be halted in New York, and other states should halt their attempt to legalize for this reason. But before we get into this article, I just wanted to take this moment to thank all of you for clicking on this video. If you haven't yet, hit that like, share this video with friends, family, enemies, and hopefully today I've earned your subscription. And for those of you already subscribed, please make sure you are still subscribed, as YouTube tends to remove subscriptions from time to time. And remember, if you wish to help support this channel, there are several links in the description below, including a merch shop with new anime themed shirts and mugs now available. Once again, thank you for your support, and make sure you hit that notification bell to make sure you receive all our notifications on QTCast TV and all of our programming across all of our social media platforms. Thank you once again. New York City teachers say students are increasingly coming to school high, according to this report. An increasing number of students are showing up to class high and in many cases late, which in turn has created discord in the public, private, and charter school classrooms, according to teachers who have spoke to the New York Times. While there's no absolute data on the marijuana usage among school children, data from the New York Department of Education showed a 10% increase in the number of drug and alcohol-related offenses in 2023 compared to the figures from 2019, the Times reported. It's probably a lot higher. It's most likely higher. They're probably throwing it on the low count, but I believe it's a lot higher than that. In 2021, New York State legalized recreational marijuana, which much of the tax revenue sets are directed toward the communities of color, which for decades bore the brunt of marijuana arrests. But more than 2 years after the massive policy change, teachers reveal that many students are struggling to handle the after effects of cannabis given its widespread availability. Many instructors point to the growing number of smoke shops in the city, as well as the ease of obtaining and using vape pens, in reasoning why some kids are unable to focus once they are in the classroom. Several teachers told the Times of kids taking out vape pens when their backs are turned to the students, as well as bathrooms and stairwells that smell of marijuana. But given how quickly the students can hide cannabis or vape pens, teachers often have to use their judgment when assessing whether or not the pupil is high. It really feels like this unstoppable tide that we're futilely trying to suppress. American Billy, a public school high school in Manhattan Beach, Brooklyn, told the newspaper, adding that she couldn't tell if a student was lethargic because of sleep deprivation, personal issues at home, or potentially drugs. Gail Brewer, a New York City Council member, pointed out to the growing number of unregulated vape shops in the city, using her own Upper West Side district as a barometer. The Manhattan public official said that last September she counted less than a dozen vape shops in her district. By March, the number had climbed to 64 shops. We know there's over 1,500 in New York City alone. We were all saying we need social workers, we need psychologists, we need mental health support in schools, Brewer told the Times, adding that tackling the growing number of smoke shops were not on the list. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has pledged to go after the unlicensed smoke shops, but has not yet taken the broad steps to do so, per the Times. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has also taken a firm stance against unlicensed shops by floating evictions, but his office has not yet gone through such actions. And that is correct. We got Alvin Bragg in in the district attorney's office. That's one of the problems that needs to go, because he's just letting these guys go. They're arresting them, letting them go, arresting them, letting them go, and they're continuing to do it. A lot of these people criminals are thumbing their nose to the situation against New York City. We just had during the holiday time we had a video out. We had a bakery, not one, not two, 3 bakeries owned by the same owner was shut down because they didn't have a license to do this, which they were selling edibles. They were selling cakes, candies, lemonades. They were selling it straight out without a license. And they also had vape pens. This is the situation we're going through. A lot of these people that have pushed, the recreational cannabis laws into effect says this will stop the illegal trade. No, it hasn't. It's not. There is an article out that says that there's tons of cannabis farms that have been unable to get rid of their plant line because basically nobody is buying from them. The stuff is coming from the streets. This is a lot of the stuff that we discussed that in another video, that China has farms in this country. They're manufacturing illegally and pushing that out. And some of that stuff is making its way back to East Asia, to places like Thailand. And we have a video out on that as well. That Thailand also has a similar laws into effect, which they're about to pull back on. And you go to Thailand and you see these stores that says cannabis here, made in the US of A. This is what we got through for. We were fighting to keep the drugs out of the US after the Vietnam War. But now, since it's all fully into our country, we're taking it and selling it back out to the countries we originally purchased them from, putting those companies out of business and taking control of those businesses. If I was mayor of this city, I would be number one on top of the governor and says, we need to stop this. No more licensings to be given out, period. Only for medicinal. Okay? 2, we go after every shop. We hit them hard, we hit them strong, and we shut them down permanently. Because we can get the ATF in here as well, because some of these smoke shops are selling illegal, untaxed cigarettes as well, which is a violation to their licensing. Where are they getting these untaxed cigarettes from? That needs to be investigated as well. People say, well, it's nothing, so they don't collect the tax on the... We have issues right now in each state and in our government as far as finance. If we're not collecting the taxes of what we're supposed to be collecting taxes on, how, are we going to survive? Same thing with cannabis. You think we're going to make any money off of cannabis? California's not making it. Colorado's not making it. Seattle's not making it. Every place where they've opened up, they started to make a little bit, and then suddenly, boom, it hit rock bottom. Why? People are not going to cannabis shops, legal ones, and pay the price that is set. They're going to go to their local corner dealer who still has it, or to an illegal shop that's going to sell it to them dirt cheap. And of course, our kids are buying into these. How many of these illegal shops are selling to children? So that's the major thing. How many of these illegal smoke shops are selling to our children? Because they're showing up to school high. We already gone through a situation, even in my youth, with kids and cigarettes, kids and alcohol. Now we got to do with kids and major drugs now. How long before they start smoking shit that has fentanyl in it, and they start dying? How many bodies does the state need before they say no more? You know, they until they have a body count, you know, they don't do anything of the nature. They could avoid this by not doing it. What's the old saying? Strange game. The only winning move is not to play. That's the thing you have to do, is not to play these games with politics and saying, well, I'm going to get votes by just legalizing cannabis without doing any proper research into them. They said, it'll help us. It'll give us more taxes in our pocket. It hasn't. Homeowners' taxes are way high right now. So are our city and state taxes. We're paying a lot more for food. We're paying a lot more for transportation. We're paying a lot more for a lot of things in our lives. This is why I say, when it comes to elections, know who you're voting for. Are they going to cover the things that are important to you, the voter, the American voter? Look at the crises we're in right now. Look at what is going on around us. This has been set off by the people you voted into office. Because you said, well, I don't want to vote for this particular person because they're not good. How do you know? Look into these people. Listen to what they're saying. Stop listening to the mainstream media. Stop listening to some of these politicians that demonize others, that they sit there and say white supremacy and this and that. You know, they start to throw these word salads at you. Learn about them. Look what happened to AOC at that town hall. Those were not Republicans that were in there. Those were her constituents, the people that voted for her into office. They're pissed the fuck off. Ever since they canceled out that Amazon deal, from there on, how she got a second run, I don't know. That I got a question on that. Because that is such a light district between the Bronx and the Queens that a lot of people should have shown up to vote. So comment below. Let me know your thoughts to this situation, because this is very important. This is one major video that should be shared across, especially to parents with children. Check your kids' bags. Look to see if they have vape pens in there. Smell their bags. Smell the clothes that they're wearing when they take it off. See if you smell marijuana on their clothes. Because if you smell it on them, they're either around it or they're doing it. Check the candies that they're also on there. Are they legitimate candies? Because let me tell you something. There has been kids hitting the emergency room for edibles, because the edibles are even stronger than the actual vapes and smoking it directly. Joe Rogan has said this. So comment below, share the video, hit the like, notification bells, or whatever notification button is on there. And hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription on all of our social media platforms. Thank you for clicking on this video, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.